I have watched what this next speaker has done and her impressive career. Actually, this is probably her third career. Little secret is she was a former trial attorney as well, and I didn't know that when she was on the SmackDown that you did, which she actually became a winner, the winner of the SmackDown competition. But I've watched her and her partners put on masterminds, give around production, helping agents become better agents in their market. Over 253 homes sold last year in a community of 10,000 residents. In addition to that, I know her famous cat. I've gotten to hear her story of her grandmother's bean story. This is someone who is going to have you, she's going to inspire you, she's going to have you laughing, I think, till the end of her presentation. Everyone, give it up for Tammy Pack.
Okay, guys, I have got good news and bad news. The bad news is I don't have any fancy multimedia slides up there for y'all. You don't need slides, they said. I see how it works now. The good news is there's going to be nothing for you to take a bunch of photos of that you're never going to look at again. You know it's true. So we're going to have a good time here because I don't need slides, because people say, how do you get up there and talk without notes or slides? I said, because I'm talking about what I know and what I live. Could you get up here and talk about your kids for 15 minutes? Right? This is what I do. So I'm going to give you specific black and white things that I think can help, I know can help every person in this room have more money, have more wealth in 1 year. Y'all up for that? All right. I am a huge silver lining kind of gal. I always see the silver lining. Does that mean I'm Pollyanna? No. It means I choose how to react. We definitely have a reset in our market. Can I get an amen? Amen. We've got a reset. Can we change that right now? We cannot change it, but what we can change is our thoughts about it, and more importantly, our actions. Right? Let's get into some serious actions, because I'm not just going to sit here and talk rainbows and butterflies and y'all can think your way out of a reset, because you can't. But you can act your way out of it, okay? So we've had some really good times for the last several years, haven't we? Really good times. We've all been to conferences, and what did they tell us we should be doing? They said, guys, slower times are coming. There's going to be opportunity. And a silver lining I see in this market is there is so much opportunity for you guys to purchase more real estate. Raise your hand if you want to own some real estate. We're talking about building wealth. We're talking about building legacy. You ain't going to get there just selling real estate. You have to own real estate. Everyone in this room, raise your hand if you own something. It doesn't have to be paid for. Mortgages are good. Leverage is good. Raise your hand if you want to own more. Every stinking one of you, right? We all want to, so let's talk about that. Going to conferences for years, they've been saying, now guys, things are good, but things are going to have a little bit of a downturn, and when that happens, everything's going to be on sale, right? The world's going to be on sale. So what did they tell us to do? They told us we should be stockpiling cash. You've been to the same conference I've been to. Stockpile cash, right? And every one of us got our notepads out, and we wrote, and we was like, yeah, stockpile cash. You tell your partner, write that down, stockpile cash. What are you thinking on the inside? That's for rich people. I can't stockpile cash. That's for Warren Buffett. Yes, he's going to be able to buy the world when it goes on sale. How am I going to do it? It's not that you're slack off, not that we're lazy. It's that we have life to live, right? We got kids. They've got tuition, they got camp. We're investing in our real estate companies, helping them grow. And Lord knows Uncle Sam takes the rest of everything. Am I right? So it sounds real good to stockpile cash, but I'll tell you this, you're never gonna own as much real estate as you'd like, saving it penny by penny. You're just not gonna get there. So let's talk about how you can. First of all, I wanna tell you about a property that has made a huge change in my family's life. We've had several of these. This isn't a one-time unicorn. I've done it many times. But this one really struck home, I think because I sold it last month after owning it 10 years. And I do little drive videos in my car driving to work. And I was talking about it. And as I talked, I started thinking, man, that property gave us a lot. That property didn't just do one thing for our family. It did 5 things, at least 5 big things for our family. And I started thinking, who's ever heard of the book called The Giving Tree? You read to your children, right? There was a beautiful tree. The little boy would swing in it. Eventually, he got to be bratty, like they said yesterday, teenagers, you know how they are, high schoolers. He chopped it down. He made a boat, and he rode in the boat. And then eventually, he used it as a stump to sit on when he was an old man. So I want to talk to you about the cottage that did that for us. It's called Buckhorn Cabin. So in 2012, bought a house in Fredericksburg, Texas, where I live, kind of painted it this color. They called it the Barbie Dream House. So it's right on the corner, blue house, great, love the house. Next door, there's this log cabin. And it's the kind of log cabin that was built in Tennessee, Pennsylvania, those kind of things in the 1700s, disassembled and rebuilt. You know that kind of thing, right? It was right next door. I was already in the short-term rental business. I thought, maybe I should buy this one, right? Because it's right next door. Well, I looked at it and I was super annoyed because they didn't build it facing the street. They built it sideways looking at my house. How weird is that? And I kept looking at it on my front porch going, oh, that's so weird. Why's that cottage looking at me? And I thought, well, it's only weird if I don't own it. If it's my B&B guest, it's pretty cool, right? I just wave to them and everything's good. So I said, I got to buy it. I know one thing is I got to buy this property. I know 2 things. I ain't got enough money. Can anybody relate to that? You know, 20% down is a lot at any given time. And even if you got money in the bank, if you want to scale and buy a bunch of them, you still ain't got enough money, right? You got to get more creative. So before I tell you how I bought it with no money down, would anybody like to hear about that? No money out of these pockets whatsoever. Anybody want to hear about that? Let's talk about it first, about what it did to change my family. People focus on 1 or 2 and forget there's lots of them. So the first thing Buckhorn did, I went over and looked at it. It was $350,000 10 years ago. I was like, it's not a great deal. It's not a bad deal. It's kind of okay. But the guy had already been renting it. Guess how much he was bringing in? $600 a month. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is good news. Because most investors are like, doesn't pencil. It doesn't pencil. Have you ever heard that? The financials don't make sense. I don't like the cap rate. It's like the cap rate on $600, duh, you know. But the beauty is I was already in the space of short-term rentals. I looked at it and I said, 600 is crazy. I promise you it will do 6,000 a month as soon as I buy it. And I knew that because I'd done the work. I'd learned the thing. I'd taken the hard knocks. I knew what it would rent for. So I loved it that it was $600 a month. So it had been on the market 7, 8 months. So at this point, that seller knows he's not getting full price 10 years ago, right? With those numbers, he knew. So I'm going, this might be an opportunity. So before I tell you how I buy it, I'd love to tell you the things that it did for us. Number 1, cash flow. For 10 years, we rented that sucker. For 10 years. We bought it, and you're going to love this too. If you ever buy short-term rental, guys, here's a big tip. You want everything in it. But Tammy, it's ugly. I don't care because you're going to have a garage sale. A big garage sale. So I said, yes, I want all that stuff. That big buffalo head, you better leave him. I want all of it. Sold that buffalo head for $800 10 years ago. $13,000 garage sale, which then paid for my hot tub, it paid for the new bedding, the things I wanted to change, right? Still out, no money. So it starts renting for $6,000 a month immediately. So number 1 was cash flow. In 10 years, I asked my ops manager yesterday, how much did Buckhorn bring in 10 years? $761,000. So now naturally, we're paying bills with that, we're doing things, right? But cash flow is king because if you buy 1 of those, 2 of those, 3 of those, 4 of those, 5 of those, if one's got a down month, the cash flow on the other helps. So 760-something thousand cash flow in 10 years. That's number 1. Number 2, got a lot of tax deductions from it, right? Tax breaks. Everybody wants the tax deductions, but don't get too hung up on it. I met a new friend yesterday. He goes, I live in Canada. We don't get to deduct the depreciation. I was like, well, you know, in a short-term rental, it's divided over 39 years, so it's not that much money anyway. You're going to miss all these other 5 things because you're hung up on 1. So don't get hung up on 1. So, but we got tax breaks all those years. Number 3, and this is a big one. Raise your hand if the minute COVID hit, if you can remember the moment when you realized they ain't playing. Whether I think I'm going to die or not, they're fixing to put me out of business. That fear, right? Do you remember that moment where you thought, oh my word, my business is over? So I had that moment, and I thought, oh my goodness, because guess what? We're not only in real estate, we have a second business. B&B's hospitality lodging. That wasn't affected by COVID, was it? shut us down. 14 days, we gave over $600,000 in refunds in 14 days. So guess what? I went back to the giving tree. And at this point, I would say this is when we took the axe to the root and we made the canoe. And I went back to my banker and I said, what are we going to do? He goes, you've got so much equity in it, Tammy. It's doing amazing. I'll give you $170,000 equity right out of it. Just come sign the documents. Took $170,000 out of that property, put it in my business, gave me some breathing room, right? So I could sleep at night. So it helped me again. We sold it last month, paid $350,000, right, for it. We sold it for $1,060,000 last month. So it more than tripled. And even having taken the $170,000 out, still walked away with over $500,000. Over $500,000. So that's just number 4. It gets better. So that was huge, right? And if we have time at the end, I'll tell you how I'm not going to pay any taxes on that. We can talk about, and it's not a 1031. So I got a new trick. But number 5, this is amazing. Since we have done the work, we've done the thing, we've built the businesses, we own a reservation company, and we have 188 properties that we take short-term rental reservations for, and we keep 20% of the bookings. So now, yes, we sold the Giving Tree, we sold Buckhorn, but guess who he's using as his reservation service? So I'm going to continue to make 20% for the foreseeable future, over $20,000 a year, which frankly is probably about the profit margin, right? So look at the ways this property is continuing to bless our family. I know you know, yes, I should buy real estate, but do you see when you hear the specifics of how you, if you aren't in it, you don't yet realize how much you need to buy the real estate? But you're like, Tammy, that sounds great. Bully for you. You did some cool stuff. Okay, big whoop. I can't do that. I can't afford it. So everyone in this room is too focused on traditional lending. Everyone in this room, because we're all conditioned, we're taught to go to the bank, the guy with the suit, listen to what he says, see him turn you down. You're sitting there going, why am I asking you for money? I make more than you do. It happens all the time to us, right? Start looking in your community for special people, for private investors, for companies that do private equity lending. I mean, I found a guy by running my mouth that is willing to do this kind of lending. Guess what his terms were? It's a big, tall cowboy. Wears a cowboy hat. First time I met with him, which was actually 7 years prior to this, I'd already been buying stuff with him. I sat down and we talked for a while. He figured out I knew what I was doing. Again, do the work, know the stuff, speak their language. We talked for a while. He leans back in his chair and he goes, I like you, and I like the deal. Let's go look at the property. I said, okay. This was before Buckhorn even. So we went, got the key, we went into this commercial building. I needed it bad. It was a great deal. He looked at it, he had a Polaroid camera, I kid you not. In 2005, he took a Polaroid camera. So I'm like, what is he doing? So he took a couple shots, he's fanning, remember how we used to have to do? This is 2005, he's walking around fanning his Polaroids. Finally he goes, yeah, this is a good deal. And he goes, I don't know where I'm gonna get the money yet, but I will get it and we will close this deal in 30 days. Shake my hand. I shook his hand. I was like, this is how all banking should be. This is the best. He literally told me, don't bring me your tax returns. If you have any sense, you don't make any money. Taxes. So I said, I love this guy. So we shook hands. He closed my deal. The beautiful thing, you'll love this. I asked him, I said, after the shaking the Polaroid, I said, so what's next? This is great. Like an appraisal? He goes, we just did it. I said, what do you mean? He said, if I don't know what a commercial building on Main Street, Fredericksburg's worth, we all in trouble, right? So he did the deal. He got us in. Here's his terms. I've learned how he works, and you will find people in your community like this. He goes, I want 80% loan to value, no more. I'm in first lien position. I want 7.5% interest rate, and that's pretty much it. And 30-year amortization, 5-year balloon. If you don't know immediately what that means, do the thing, do the work, study. Know what the 30-year ammo with the 5-year balloon means, okay? This is our career, guys. It's not a hobby, right? I said, okay, that's pretty sweet. I'm gonna get a lot of interest. I like it. So he told me his deal, but then I said, but where am I gonna, what's the only problem with this deal? I still gotta come up with 20% of $350,000. That's 70 grand. That's not laying around when you're running businesses, am I right? So he let me know, he goes, guess what? He goes, I don't care where you get the other 20%. I was like, do you care if I borrow it? He goes, nope. He goes, I'm 80%, I'm in first loan position, I don't care where you get it. So instead of going to private money then, I go to the seller and I give them this deal. I was like, look, don't try to beat people down in multiple ways. See, so I'm gonna ask him kind of for a favor, so I offer him full price. I don't beat him down in every direction. I said, full price, No inspection. I'll take my risks. I'll take the property, but I need you to carry 20% down, 30-year amortization, 5-year balloon, 7.5%. He took me up on it. He walked out with 80% of his money, and he was holding paper, right? So you need a reputation for this. He asked a couple of friends, yeah, she's legit. They're good folks. They'll pay you. They pay their bills. That's all we needed. We own this at that point now, free and clear. I have no money. What on earth, guys, is my rate of return on all those things I told you it did? What did I put in it? Some sense, some common sense, some digging, some hard work. Quit just talking to bankers, right? You got to go deeper. So now I know some of you have a question. You're like, yeah, but Tammy, in 5 years, what are you going to do when that seller's ready to be paid off? Every time I've done this, and it's been several, every time, the appreciation and the work we've put into it, that guy, the banker guy with the cowboy hat, has come back and said, it's worth well more than 20% of the whole thing, and he refinanced it all. Still no money involved. What do y'all think about that? There, you know, is anybody in the room old enough to remember Carlton Sheets? Right? I bought that set years ago, no money down, because I was dreaming. I knew I wanted real estate, and I knew I didn't have no money. But I was going to make it happen. And you can do every single bit of it, guys. You can do every bit of it. There are 2 traits you need to make this happen. Number 1, you need patience and the willingness to learn and do the thing. You got to do the study. You got to know. I had an agent call me recently. I'm going to buy my butt-cord cabin. I said, yes. And I said, how much is it? She gave me the price. I said, what's the mortgage going to be? I don't have any idea. I was like, no, you're not ready. Because I can tell you what it's going to rent for, and you don't even know what the mortgage is. Have the patience. Do the thing, do the study. But don't get paralysis by analysis. Once you know what you know, I knew it would bring in $6,000, you got to be willing to move. And you got to not nickel and dime them. You got to come in there and make an impression. And I can just tell you, you can have your own giving tree, and that's what I want for every one of you. God bless you, and thank you so much for having me today.